This will define everything for the Phoenix Suns, as their number one main priority is figuring out how to facilitate a Kevin Durant trade that not only benefits them, but also benefits Kevin Durant, as he has some preferred destinations out there on the market, and it's jarring this little bit of back and forth between the two parties, in which contradictory reports have been dropping. So what will the Phoenix Suns ultimately do, and how will they be able to work through all of this with the latest reports? Well, we're going to be diving in and exploring all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I am Bruce Veliz. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone that came through to the stream on Thursday night with me and Eric Ruby from PHNX Sports. We had a great time discussing the Phoenix Suns, and if you guys missed that, definitely go check that one out, as it was an absolute blast being able to finally talk to him face to face and not just in the chat. And we'll be having more videos coming out for you guys relating on this Suns news over these next couple of days. We had not been doing videos just because it's been back and forth reports of just the same jargon, but with today kind of getting some new stuff, we're going to dive in and explore why it really means the most for the Suns. So without further ado, let's dive into this video today. Make sure to grab that snack and let's get into it, as it keeps changing for the Phoenix Suns, as we've heard multiple reports over the last week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks at this point, since Jordan Knott has been hired, relating to this Kevin Durant situation, as multiple teams have been interested. Then there's been Kevin Durant's preferred list, then there have been teams that Durant would like to go to, but they've been declining. Multiple mystery wildcard teams, packages have been revealed, all of that jazz. And it's just been absolutely ridiculous just hearing all of this news really unfold, as I just want it to basically end. And I think all of you guys can really understand that as well, with the Suns needing to gear up for the draft and trying to get one of a draft pick in this year's draft class before Wednesday night. It is very key that they try and do that beforehand. But without further ado, let's dive in and let's explore, as some updates have dropped in from Mark Stein over the last couple of days in his new latest Substack, where the Heat have remained still firm on their stance of not including Kelly Ware in a Kevin Durant trade package with the Suns. And if Ware's off on the table, the Suns are then seeking multiple first-round picks along that talent to really try to bolster that in. Now, ultimately, do I think that's a good move? No, because I do think that Kelly Ware has to be the mainstay in a Heat deal if you do it. But also, the Heat are also fans of Cody Martin, and this could partner with the Suns, maybe even including him in a deal, and that's why we haven't seen the waivers of those guys be done yet. Now, with the Phoenix Suns, obviously them being in the second apron, it does make them very restrictive to making these moves, and that's why we've talked about potentially waiving Vasilije Micic and Cody Martin, so that the Suns have an easier way of being able to maneuver this off season. But if the Suns do drop below the first apron in doing a deal, they can send out one of these contracts. So if the Heat do favor a guy in Cody Martin and do want to bring him in on that $8 million deal alongside a guy in Kevin Durant, the Suns can facilitate a deal to have that happen, in which they take back less salary to do so. Now, that's something that's going to have to be questionable with regarding the Suns, if they even want to do a deal with the Heat, because other teams are still going to have offers. It's not like the Heat just have this one, but that's some details on the Heat side of things. Now, when looking at from Jake Fisher, once again, we did see that talks with the Raptors have also been kind of going unwilling, as they have been reluctant to include center Jakob Poeltl, and as long with Miami Heat including Kelly Ware. With the Rockets, their offer seems to be Jalen Green in the 10th overall pick, where they've been reluctant to include guys like Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, and Reed Shepherd, all players that the Suns do have interest in. And I feel like this is very ridiculous in my opinion, because even though Suns are in the second apron and Kevin Durant is on a one-year deal left here, and there are some uncertainty with him getting older in age, this man is an absolute baller and bucket. Looking at his stats last season: 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists on the year, 1.2 blocks, shooting 52% from the field and 43% from 3. I know Eric over here on the stream said this very loudly, and I'm going to stand with him with it as well. Kevin Durant is still a top 10, top 15 player in the NBA. And I feel like these teams are valuing Kevin Durant out on the open market basically as scraps. And we saw that similarly to a guy in Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline. And ultimately, the Suns could have pivoted and made a move then to offload Durant's contract, but chose to stick with him. And we saw Jimmy Butler not go for the most. I do think Kevin Durant will go a little bit more than what Jimmy Butler is going for, but it ultimately is going to come down to maybe him not going to that number one preferred destination. His top pick is the San Antonio Spurs, but from recent reports, we haven't really heard them much really in this news, or, willingness to really offload some of these contracts to get Kevin Durant, and maybe that's where the Suns are really struggling to do a deal with San Antonio. Obviously, the Rockets do have those enticing young pieces, like we just mentioned, guys in Jabari Smith, Reed Sheppard, and Tari Eason. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're not including at least one of those. Reed Sheppard, I understand, top 3 pick. You still see some value in him, but you have a guy in Fred VanVleet who's playing his role essentially. So if you're going to keep Fred VanVleet, really hindering the growth of Reed Sheppard. Tari Eason, obviously a great wing lengthy size, and I understand why they would want to keep him, but they have Dylan Brooks as well. And then Jabari Smith, I understand, maybe if you're the Rockets, right, you want to keep these contracts going down the line if you want to make another move in the future, but you have to realize that a Jabari Smith fit alongside Kevin Durant, in my opinion, isn't going to work because he's coming in and taking his spot, and then Jabari is going to be coming off the bench playing that backup 4, backup 5 role, which I guess if you want to happen, you can, but number 3 overall pick, stunting his growth once again. It's just not what I would want to see with those types of players. I want to see them be able to reach their full potential, and I feel like the Rockets, if they were to get Kevin Durant and even doing a deal like this, would be hindering that, and that's screwing them over, but also screwing the Suns over in my regard, and I do not like that. Obviously, with the Heat as well, like we mentioned, reluctant to include a guy in Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware is very young. I understand that I see some untapped potential in him, but let's be real here. Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo is pretty solid, but Kevin Durant and Bam Adebayo is absolutely ridiculous. And you're not going to be able to play KD, Kel'el Ware, and Bam Adebayo all out there on the same court at the same time. So once again, my question comes, why are you trying to stunt his growth? Give him to the Phoenix Suns. This is just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. And Jakob Poeltl not even being thrown in? Come on. Many Suns fans and even people in the Suns media don't even think that Jakob Poeltl is a top 10, top 15 type of big, someone the Suns should even want to really be intrigued by. And for the fact that you're reluctant to include him makes absolutely no sense, because there's no way you can do a deal then involving RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley with the just then salary fillers, and I don't know where Toronto thinks that's going to be happening, even with them being a wild card team, which is just absolutely hilarious. Once again, the Timberwolves haven't really made much noise over these last couple of days, as Durant has said that he doesn't really want to extend there. The New York Knicks are kind of out of the question now. It does seem like the teams that are kind of in the fold here are those 3: the Raptors, the Heat, the Rockets, and the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe on the outs looking in potentially, as it is still Durant's number 1 top preferred destination, reported from The Athletic that we saw and broke that down in a previous video, and that could really change things for the Suns ultimately, because if he does try to get himself there and some of these teams are reluctant to give those packages, maybe the Suns ultimately do take that package with the San Antonio Spurs, and that's going to gauge this value coming back to Phoenix, and that's why it defines everything for Brian Gregory and this front office, because they need to get this right. They need to make sure they make the right trade and can set the Phoenix Suns up alongside Devin Booker and for this offseason to be in the best position. Even if it's not a better record standing or showing wise, the Suns need to show that on the court they are hungrier, that they want to fight more, and that they're going to be relentless and show the fans that they actually care. With bringing a guy like Jordan Ott, I do see that momentum really coming through, and the team that he's going to want to build, I think, really can hit that core that Gregory and Ishbia have made known at their presence that they've wanted in their press conferences. But we're all going to have to wait and see what type of roster that really does present for Jordan Ott to really evaluate how the Suns are going to do that. So once again, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this Kevin Durant news. Once again, I thought that this trade would have been done this week. No. People thought it would have been done last week, maybe even around last weekend. No. And we're still at this weekend with no trade being done. The NBA draft is on Wednesday, so for the Suns who do want to try to get another first round pick and potentially one of these deals, as those teams that they have been interested in have picks from pick 10 to down to pick 20, it would make sense that the Suns would try to get something done, but reports have come out that they can wait to do a deal after. But once again, all this just teasing of a Kevin Durant trade for it to happen after the draft is just going to be pointless in my opinion. The Suns need to make a move now and figure out what the best direction is for them, and I do see that happening either Monday, Tuesday, or hopefully Wednesday afternoon. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys ultimately think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.